Hello again. I'm Dr. Lauren Huff, founder of DNAF Incorporated, also known as Daughters Need a Father. Last video, I discussed my new book, A Guidebook to Single Mothers Raising Daughters. I went over chapter 1, Be Intentional. I explained that I run into a lot of adult women that are still feeling pain and hurt from growing up without their father. And I want to be a preventative option for young girls so that when they grow up, they can reach their full potential and they don't have to carry on pain or rejection from their childhood. So I want to recap from some of the things that I talked about last time. I discussed how important it was for your child to develop secure attachment patterns. And attachment patterns come from the interaction from the primary caregivers from infancy, and those patterns carry over to adulthood. The research I've done shows that the children from homes without their biological father tend to form insecure or avoidant attachment patterns. This affects their ability to maintain long-lasting relationships in adulthood and the ability to trust others. So that's why it's very important for your daughter to establish secure attachments. Also, I discussed that it's very important for you to affirm your daughter. Speak words of affirmation to her. Let her know that she is intelligent. Let her know that she can do, she's strong and she can do anything. She has no limitations. You want to build up her self-worth and her self-esteem. A lot of times, growing up in a father-absent household, you do feel the abandonment, and it makes you look at yourself and not value yourself, because you think if your father, the person that gave you life didn't love you enough to stick around, why would anyone else? So you're constantly questioning your worth. And I really want the single mother to be aware of that and the challenges that these young children are facing coming from these type of households. And you really need to be understanding, because if you don't really know, then you may think, oh, she's just acting out. Oh, she just wants attention. You have to understand there's certain needs that need to be met in children that come from these broken homes. So on this video, I'm going to talk about chapter 2 of the book. It's called A Guidebook to Single Mothers Raising Daughters. It's available on Amazon.com and it's available at BarnesandNoble.com. So chapter 2 is titled, How Are You Going to Raise a Whole Child If You're Still Broken? And so I start off the chapter by questioning for you to be honest about the wounds or hurt that you're still living with. Are you dealing with any rejection or abandonment from your own father being absent? A lot of times children from father-absent homes or single family homes, they also grew up in single family homes. It's usually something that happens generational. So you really need to think about, well, have I overcome all the issues that I felt growing up in these type of homes? And also I shared on the last video that my research showed that there's often an emotional disconnection between the single mother and the daughter, because the mother's working long hours to support the family. Okay, so I'm going to give you a scenario. The mother gets up in the morning, she gets the daughter ready for school, she goes to work, the child goes to school, the child comes home, the mother comes home, she may have to go to practice, cheerleading practice, basketball practice, so the mother has to then make sure she feeds the child, take her to practice, and get her in bed so she can do it again the next day. Now that's a lot on one person. You really got to think about that. That is a lot of stress on one person. And so, but you have to be mindful that you may be experiencing this type of stress and try your best not to let this pass on to your interaction with your child. So you really have to check it at the door so that you won't carry it on to the relationship that you have with your child. And also, with my own daughter, I had to be mindful because my mother and I don't have a close emotional connection, and my mother and her mother don't have a close connection. I would always hear the phrase familiar spirits or generational curses. Well, I did not want that to continue on with my own daughter. And so I made a conscious effort to do things a little bit differently. But sometimes I still feel or I do still hear people say, you act just like your mom. And I don't mean to. But you have to think about it. Your mother was your very first role model. That was the very first person that you ever looked up to. So to act like your mother would be natural for you, because that's the first woman that you looked at to know how to grow up to be a woman. So it's natural to have things or to have behaviors like your mother. But you have to really be mindful and think about the healthy things that she taught you, and make sure you don't carry on the unhealthy things. Because remember, the goal is to establish strong girls with secure attachments. So you have to constantly be mindful of carrying on or passing on any type of negativity or anything that's unhealthy. And then also I talk about in this chapter, are you struggling with any type of insecurity? Think about it. How are you going to teach your child to have confidence and to be secure with herself if you haven't learned it yourself? I mean, if you still have insecurities, how are you going to teach her to be secure? And so I really stress that you seek some type of counseling, some type of therapy. A lot of people say that, oh, therapies were, crazy people. I've heard that, but it's really not. I went to therapy and it helped me overcome a lot of wounds that I carried from my childhood, and it's very helpful. Your job a lot of times will offer something called EAP, which is the Employee Assistant Program, and a lot of times you can have the first 6 visits free of charge, and then once that 7th visit needs to happen, then your insurance will more than likely take care of that visit. But I really, really, really stress you to seek some type of counseling and some type of therapy so that you won't carry on these type of things to your child. Also, you may not just have wounds and hurt from the relationship with your parents. You may have current hurt from maybe your child's father. Maybe he didn't treat you the best. Maybe he was abusive. Well, whatever the situation is, that's something you can also talk to with a counselor, because you don't want to take out any type of feelings that you may have that you may be feeling for your child's father. You don't want to take that out on your child. And what if your child looks just like her father and you don't have a good relationship with him? You might start treating that child a certain kind of way and not realizing that you're doing it. So you really have to self-reflect and think about it. Think about any type of wounds, hurts, pain that you may still be carrying. And I urge you to get some type of assistance, counseling, therapy in order to deal with that. Because our goal is to establish children that have secure attachments and children that live up to their full potential. So the next video that I'm going to talk about chapter 3, and the title of chapter 3 is Well, You Chose Them. And it's a little bit off of what we just talked about, your child's father. A lot of times women play the victim and they want to complain about what a horrible dad he is. But you got to think about it. You did choose him. So we'll dive into that next time. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Dr. Lauren Huff.